Naoe is a master assassin in AC Shadows. At least she can be with the right weapons. So today I've put together 10 of the best weapons for Naoe to make you super powerful, super fast. I've compiled this list based on 3 important factors. Effectiveness in combat, obviously, utility of the weapon, and just plain old fun to play. So first up, we've got a very popular katana in the Bloodshade. So the reason Bloodshade is so popular is because of its engraving, which allows Affliction buildup to not deplete over time. So for anyone that doesn't understand the Affliction system, here's a quick 101 on how it works. Every time you hit an enemy with the Bloodshade, you'll see this little circle start to fill up, and it's got like a red teardrop in the middle. You have to keep hitting enemies to continue to build that bar, and when it's full, you will proc the bleed effect, which does a ton of damage. Most weapons, over time, that bleed bar starts to deplete if you don't hit the enemy frequently enough. Bloodshade says, nah, not this time. You don't have to worry about being reckless with your attacks with the Bloodshade because you can wait as long as you want to keep filling up that bar. Now obviously, once the bleed proc hits, it's going to expire and you got to start from scratch. It does great damage, it's got great utility, and if you're interested in picking it up for yourself, you can get it in a legendary chest just off the coast of Osaka on this big merchant ship. There's a bunch of guys in there, so you'll have to sneak and fight your way in, but it's totally worth it. Let me know what you think. Next, we'll shake things up with a Tanto, which is called Call of the Void. So Call of the Void's engraving gives you a 30% damage boost to any enemy you've tagged through Eagle Vision. This is basically a no-brainer if you're sneaking through a camp and tagging everyone anyways. When you're assassinating them, or if you end up in like a fight one-on-one or even in a group, this can be a great little damage boost if you need it. If you want to try the Call of the Void yourself, you can pick it up by defeating the Godai of the Void, who is one of the Godai Shinobi, which is one of like the side quest assassination missions you can do. I would recommend you wait until you're about level 25 to take him on, and if you don't have that quest yet, I've shown on the map here where you can find him if you just want to go do it before you even unlock the quest. You can totally do it that way if you want. Next up, I want to talk about a couple of Kusarigamas because these guys don't get enough love. If you're like me and you tried your first Kusarigama and you were like, this is too awkward and clunky and I don't like it, hear me out. If you're having trouble with the Kusarigama, make sure to remember that your light and heavy attacks use opposite ends of the Kusarigama. So you've got the scythe on one side and then the spiky ball on the other. I don't know what the real name is. Your light attack is for the scythe, and it's sort of like your close range attacks, and then the heavy attack is your spiky ball, which is longer range, wider AoE attacks, if that's what you want to do. What that means is this weapon is really great for up close, but it's even better for range and taking on multiple enemies, because when you use your heavy attack, you're hitting a bunch of guys at once and you can hit them from range. It is super useful. If I've managed to convince you here, let's talk about a couple of really great Kusarigamas you need to pick up. So the first one is a no-brainer. It's one of the most popular weapons out there. It's called the Bloodletter, and the engraving on the Bloodletter allows bleed to proc every time you use the Entanglement skill. So Entanglement is a skill on the Kusarigama skill tree, and what it does is anytime you prime a posture attack and release it, if you immediately hold down the same button you were just pressing while you're landing the attack, Naoe will go and like wrap the chain of the Kusarigama around the neck of whoever you're fighting, and then there'll be this little kind of animation where you can pull the guy any way you want. But this is where Bloodletter really shines. Anytime you land Entanglement on an enemy, you proc bleed immediately, so you get off this nice little damage boost, and then you can just keep hitting them with your scythe or any of the Kusarigama attacks and keep proccing bleed. This weapon shreds through enemies. It's a great boss killer because you're always proccing bleed over and over and over again, and the Entanglement skill is just plain fun to use. If you want to try the Bloodletter for yourself, you can pick it up at Kashiwara Fort. It's the legendary chest, so you just need to kill all the Samurai Daisho there, and the Bloodletter is the reward for doing that. But speaking of Entanglement and how much I love it, the next Kusarigama I want to talk about is Death Whisperer. So the engraving on Death Whisperer gives you a plus 200% collision damage. So if you're wondering what collision is, it's anytime you use your Entanglement skill and you toss enemies into each other or into walls or objects, that is collision damage. In my experience, it's not like a crazy amount of extra damage, but it is enough to warrant using Entanglement more. And like I said, it's just fun to throw guys around and have massive crowd control while you're fighting. So this is just kind of a fun option, and I really recommend it if you like that Entanglement skill and you're good at it. The Death Whisperer is a reward for completing the Wounded Shimbakufu quest, so it's one of the first 2 you have to fight right after the tutorial of the game. It's technically part of the tutorial. So if you've been playing the game for anywhere from like 5 to 10 hours, it's pretty likely you've already unlocked this. So check it out in your inventory and try it out. Next up, I've got another katana called Mask Death. So the engraving on Mask Death causes your posture attacks to not get canceled. It's hard to speak. So the way that Mask Death works is the engraving makes it so that posture attacks aren't canceled by dodging. This is mostly a utility weapon, but it's really helpful for using a lot of posture attacks. So anytime typically when an enemy tries to hit you and you're loading up a posture attack, if you dodge, it cancels that posture attack and you've got to start again from scratch. But with this weapon, as long as you're holding the posture attack button when you dodge and you keep holding it, it will maintain that posture attack charge. So as soon as you dodge that enemy, you can release your posture attack and hit them immediately for that sweet, sweet damage. If you're looking to pick up Masked Death, you can get it in Shimigara Valley. There's a legendary chest there that you can pick up and try it out for yourself. And hey, if you find this video helpful and you love Assassin's Creed Shadows, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Okay, next up we've got another katana, because katanas are bananas. So Steel Blossom is a legendary katana whose engraving charges posture attacks immediately after vaults. Now, if I'm being honest, this one kind of scared me. I had no idea what a lot of these words meant. There is a skill on your... Where is it? Where is it? We're gonna find it. Shinobi! Shinobi. There's a skill on the Shinobi skill tree called Vault. And what it does is anytime you do a perfect block and the enemy goes orange, if you immediately press B or whatever your dodge button is, you'll vault over the enemy and do this cool somersault over them. So what Steel Blossom adds to this is anytime you do that vault, you can immediately fire off a posture attack from the other side of them. So the benefit of this is twofold. One, it's just freaking awesome. And two, it's a great way to reposition yourself and still get damage off almost immediately. If you want to try out Steel Blossom for yourself, all you need to do is complete the full Shunbakufu quest line. It's the reward for finishing that. So do that and try it out. Next up, for all my defense lovers, we've got the Yami no Kagi, whose engraving gives you 100% damage to all of your attack deflects. The katana gameplay in general is built around deflecting regularly and causing those vulnerable states and then using posture attacks or abilities or things like that. So this weapon is really fun because when you're deflecting, you now just get a little bit of damage off on enemies at the same time. It just feels very efficient and fun to use because not only are you being defensive, you're actually causing a little bit of damage as well. If you want to pick this one up for yourself, you can get it as the legendary reward for the Hirayama Fort for defeating all the Samurai Daisho. You probably want to wait till you're about level 25, but definitely check it out when you feel ready. Moving on to the best part of this list, my top 3 favorite weapons for Naoe in Assassin's Creed Shadows. First, we have Yukimitsu's Revenge, which causes afflicted enemies to become vulnerable. Now, this is awesome because Yukimitsu's Revenge has poison buildup built into the weapon. So anytime that poison affliction is applied, you now have a vulnerable enemy. And in my experience, if you're fighting multiple enemies with Yukimitsu's Revenge and you're in like a corner, you can apply poison to all of them and all of a sudden a bunch of enemies go vulnerable at the same time and you can start unleashing posture attacks and just messing things up. If you really enjoy Affliction buildup, but also really like weak point damage, this is a great compromise in the middle where you can do both. If you want to pick up Yukimitsu's Revenge for yourself, you can find it at the Ancient Tomb of Nanjo, which is one of those like coffin platformer puzzles. It's super straightforward, it's kind of cool to do too, so check it out for yourself. Coming in as my number 2 favorite weapon for Naoe in AC Shadows is Egan Sunset, which is another Tanto. The engraving on Egan Sunset allows time to slow down on escape strikes. Now this is really cool and you can basically proc it whenever you want, but there's a really important call out here that I was screwing up for a long time. So Escape Strike is a skill you have to unlock on the skill tree, but in order to unlock Escape Strike, you also have to unlock something called Leap Strike. These are very similar abilities with a very small difference. For a Leap Strike, you are holding your posture attack and pressing B and pushing the direction stick in a certain direction, and that causes you to leap towards an enemy and attack them. With an Escape Strike, you're holding your posture attack and just pressing B. If you hit the directional stick at all, it will ruin the Escape Strike and it will not proc this ability and you'll go, what the heck, this thing sucks. Maybe I'm just really bad at this game, but I just wanted to call that out. Make sure you are not pushing the directional stick when you're going for your Escape Strike and you will find that time slows down every single time. This is so valuable for Naoe, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's a great way to just take a breather, open up some space for yourself, and even do some extra damage on enemies if that's what you need. You can pick up Egan Sunset at Tezuko's Lair, which is a small bandit camp just kind of like northwest of the hideout, so you can pick it up really early on, and you'll probably find yourself using it a lot once you start getting the hang of it. Moving on to my favorite weapon for Naoe in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that is Shinobi's Fury. It's another Tanto, and the engraving on this causes weak point attacks to cause another vulnerable state. So anytime an enemy goes vulnerable and you use a light posture attack, you will cause weak point damage. Usually that ends the vulnerable state and you kind of got to go back to square one. But in this case, after doing your weak point damage, the enemy goes vulnerable again, so you can get a second weak point damage off. I really never get tired of the weak point damage animation. It's just so cool. So this is one of my favorites and I use it all the time. And even better, you'll pick this up very early on in the game for killing the Golden Teppo, which is one of the first Shunbakufu you have to assassinate. So the biggest question of the day is, what did I miss here? What's your favorite weapon for Naoe? Did it make the cut? Is there something else you'd suggest to people? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more Assassin's Creed Shadows content, check out this video right here for 17 tips and tricks I wish I knew sooner in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'll see you there in just a second. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dylan. This is Beep Boop Loot. We'll see you in the next one.